us know this new school year can often be a difficult transition for parents and students. At least 5% of children will refuse or avoid school at some point in their lives, making it a growing issue across the country. So joining me this morning to talk about a special program at the Institute of Living is Scott Hannon. He is the program's director. Scott, thanks for being with us.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Now, first off, if people are not familiar with the term school refusal, it's pretty much exactly the way it sounds. It's a kid who doesn't want to or pretty much flat out refuses to go to school.
These are children that are avoiding school because it makes them uncomfortable. It may be anxiety, it may be depression, they may be having academic problems, there may also be physical symptoms. And what we see is the reasons they're not going to school are not enough to warrant absence. So if their doctor's saying you're not well enough to go to school, that's not what we would consider school refusal.
Sure. But
when it gets to the point of everybody saying you're okay to go to school and they're still not going, that's when we're looking at school refusal.
Now, I think it's almost safe to say at some point kids are going to have a day where they don't want to go to school. They may fake sick, or they may say, you know, I have a headache or something like that. But that's not really what we're talking about, right?
No, you're right. There are some kids that may avoid a day here or there. We're talking about excessive absence from school. We're talking about, in Connecticut, they're usually looking at about 10% of school days we're considering excessive absences. And I think now, actually, right about 9 absences, they start talking to the family more about why you're missing school.
Right.
So we're talking about a pattern here. And you may see kids over the years have a little bit of this pattern, and it may grow over time.
So you're talking about the pattern, but what about behavior that parents should keep an eye out for?
The things that you're going to look for is the child that is having physical symptoms every morning, and if they do stay home, those physical symptoms start to go away once they're not going to school. You're talking about children that are going to late to school all the time, calling to come home. We're talking about kids that are spending a lot of times in the nurse's office or in the guidance office, or kids that aren't going on particular days. So Mondays, they have a hard time going. Or after there's a vacation, I know it's such a hard time getting them back to school. Or, hey, every Wednesday they're missing, and then we think about it, hey, there's always gym class on Wednesdays.
What's going on?
Yeah, what's going on? What are the patterns we're seeing?
All right. A lot of parents are probably just going to say, you know what, we just got to give them a pep talk. You know, they have to understand that school is important, but there is also sort of some treatment. It's more about understanding and talking, right?
When we're talking about treatment, what we're looking at is we want a good, consistent environment in the home, so making sure these kids are getting to bed on time, getting up at the right times. We want to make sure that they're not on electronics excessively. It makes it a lot harder to get back to school.
Right, screen time.
Yep.
Yeah,
it's a really big issue. We want to work with the schools and say, how can we help in the school? Are there things that we can do in the school environment to make it easier for them to deal with anxiety, depression, or whatever, maybe they have academic problems we can help them with? We also need to think about treatment. Is there underlying anxiety, depression that has to be treated to help them get back into school?
You do have a refusal program, sort of an experiment project that's happening right now at the Institute of Living, right?
Well, we've got 2 things going. We have a school refusal program where we do a lot of work with school system, and this is an intensive program for kids that are really having a hard time, where over the course of 3 weeks, schools may contract with us to help them get their student back into school. And we're working with the parents of the school and the child to help them get back. In addition, we're trying to learn more about school refusal. So we have a study that's ongoing where we've created a measure, and we want parents and their child, this is for teenagers in 7th through 12th grade, to participate to help us to understand this better. And we're looking for children not only with school refusal issues, but kids that are doing fine, kids that don't have anxiety,
kids
depression.
That love school, right?
Kids that are fine with school, that love school. We would like them to participate as well. It would help us understand a little bit better about what's going on with this problem.
Right, and again, the ages are anywhere basically through 8th grade
13 through 18, grades 7 through 12.
Okay. And then so what would they do? Contact you?
They could go right to our website.
Talk a little bit more about what's involved with it.
So for the research study, what involves is we need the parent and the child together to go fill out a questionnaire. The questionnaire is for the child and some questions for the parents as well. And it asks you things, what you find uncomfortable about school, what you find comfortable about school as well. And that's pretty much what it is. They can do this at home, online, so if they go to our website, they can access the research study there. It can all be done right at home.
And do you have any tips maybe for a parent who's watching and think, well, maybe this is my child, but not to an extreme case yet? Do you have any advice or sort of tips to sort of keep them from getting further into that school refusal? refusal?
Yeah, things I would suggest are, one, make sure you keep consistency at home. You've got the right bedtimes. You set the expectation that we're going to school every day. You're not going to school, we're not getting on electronics all day. But also talk to the school. They may have some insight into what's going on. They may be able to help. And if that's not helping, talk to somebody about treatment.
And I have to imagine just keeping the lines of communication open,
Yes.
because if there is something bothering your son or your daughter, you want them to feel comfortable enough to tell you what it is that's bothering them, stressing them out, causing them a lot of concern and anxious feelings.
Communication is huge with this. If everybody's communicating, things can go in the right direction. If people aren't communicating well, we're missing things, and it's harder to help them get back in.
Yeah, I mean, it is easy to just say, you know what, it's school. You got to go. Everybody's got to go.
Yes.
Instead of just taking a few more minutes, say, let's sit down. What is it that maybe you're not really super excited about, and maybe go kind of like the back route to get to the answer there.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, certainly we appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
Explaining and giving us some warning signs. And we're going to have the information on the study on our website for the Institute of Living.
Great. Thank you very much.